Use this space. Those of you who've come to protest here, you'll know that usually we have it over there, and usually we're not allowed to use this space. So a big thank you to DBKL, and many of the officers are here tonight. Also a big thank you to the police. We have police presence here, which we believe is really for our protection. So we do appreciate the police very much. You might think it's a bit surprising, you know, that someone who was called in for investigation at a police station just a couple of days ago begins by thanking the police. It is never our intention to confront the police for the wrong reasons. I myself am from a family where I grew up with many police officers whom I used to call uncles and aunties, and they used to be very kind to me. There was a police station right behind my house, and during Deepavali we would have 60 to 70 police officers come to my house. So we have nothing against the police. We want the police to succeed, and we're actually quite embarrassed for the police because they really haven't succeeded very well in the case of these abductions. And we believe that the police work under a lot of constraints. And so it is necessary for us, the public, to say, look, there is no policeman who goes to work every day just to mark time. Police also want to have success. They want to do a good job. There are many policemen who want to do a good job. So this is not about antagonizing the police. This is about saying to the authorities that govern this nation, you have to give the police the freedom and the resources to do a good job of investigation. You have to give them the priorities. And so we keep saying, yes, it was very important to deal with the North Korean case. That was very important, and the police gave it the right priority. And we saw results. We saw very good results. Why are we not seeing similar results in this case? Many people have asked me over and over again, and the previous two speakers, Thomas and Sivan, have addressed it to some extent. Really, we're all here today thanks to a video clip. Who hasn't seen the video clip of Raymond's abduction? Is there anyone here who hasn't seen the video clip of Raymond's abduction? Let the record show that not one hand went up. Everyone here has seen that video clip. I was at a railway station asking for directions. I wanted to go to a place at 8:30 in the evening. I was at this railway station. I arrived there and I asked for directions to go there. I'm not going to give you the details. Okay, I'll just tell you this is a true story. And I just went up to someone and I said, can you give me directions to go to this venue? He said to me, sir, he was a younger man, why do you want to go there? It is dark now. It's not a safe place. You shouldn't go there. I said, no, I'm going to go there because there is a candlelight vigil for Pastor Raymond. And his eyes lit up. His eyes lit up. He said, Pastor Raymond. And he asked me, who do you think took him? He asked me, who do you think abducted Pastor Raymond? I looked at him and I said, well, I've seen the video and it looks to me that it was a group of professionals. They look like professionals, and I wonder whether we have a paramilitary organization that is acting independently of the police and the armed forces. Total stranger, I don't know his name, he doesn't know my name, we're having this conversation in a railway station. And he says to me, you know, this must have been done by UTK. I'm like, UTK? What's UTK? UTK is Unit Tindak Khas. Later I found out because I asked him. And that's the special forces. And he said, you know, sir, I am ex-UTK. He told me. He said he's ex-UTK. He said he saw the video and he said, wow, we were trained, and he used the word modus operandi. Actually, I never used the word modus operandi until I heard him use that word. So he said, this is the MO of the UTK. He says this is how they conduct abductions. I said, oh, really? Okay. And then he said, this one must be UTK. Or it must be people who are ex-UTK. This is a total stranger. This is a conversation between two total strangers who've seen one video. Now let me ask you this question. What was your reaction when you saw this video? When I shared this with another friend, he said, of course, Rama, where have you been all these years? Don't you know what happened in 2010? 2010? A long time ago, I don't remember what happened in 2010. He said, that was when the Sultan of Kelantan was abducted by the UTK. And then he said, go and check, go and search online and you can find the video. And it happened in 22nd October 2010. And the same, when you look at the video, and you look at the way the operation was performed, it has all marks of an abduction by forces trained by the same people to perform it in the same way. The video again. Where did we get this video? How did we get this video? It is people like you and I. People like you and I went door to door in that area where this abduction happened, and they got the footage and they produced the video. And it's a 3-minute video with commentary. So that reminds me of the power that we have as good neighbors, as citizens, as people who care about the dignity of other human beings. And another group saw this video. And it is the group called Perlis Hope, which Amri is associated with. They looked at the video and they said, hey, black SUV. We have eyewitnesses who saw the same thing. Also black SUVs that were used. And they put 2 and 2 together. They said, why, even a Toyota saloon car, a Vios car was involved. They made the connections. The public are making all these connections. I tell you, our police are not stupid. Our police are actually very capable. I am sure they have made the connections just as we, the ordinary public, have. Why is it that they still haven't found 4 of these people? That's a big mystery. But there's another thing that's very interesting, because when the police don't give us answers, we start looking for answers. So you just go and Google, and you Google for abductions. You just Google abductions Kuala Lumpur. You want to make it easier to find the results? Turkish abductions Kuala Lumpur. I spent this afternoon reading about abductions, other abductions that took place in Kuala Lumpur. And apparently our government has a very close relationship with the government of Turkey. And apparently what has been happening is that people have been abducted, Turkish people have been abducted from Kuala Lumpur, not with SUVs and so on, but by other means. They have been grabbed, and there is a story that you can read online of a person who is presently in prison. His name is Damit, I think. I can't get the names right. Very difficult to pronounce Turkish names. But I just read this afternoon about this man who is in a prison. He is detained in a prison in Turkey. He was in Malaysia. His passport is in Malaysia. His family lodged a report that he had been abducted. And the police said that we will look for him, but were unable to locate him. But later, it became known that actually our authorities, perhaps acting together with the Turkish authorities, had abducted this person and a few others. I was able to identify 4 others that are named. So there are abductions that are going on, alright? They took this person. What does this person say? He answered some questions put to him while in Turkey. And he said he was abducted and he was taken to a forested area because he had been, I don't know, chloroformed or something. He was anesthetized, and he was taken there and he was beaten. And then within a day or 2, he was put on a plane and sent back to Turkey, together with 2 others. And it says that they came to know, his family came to know about it. How did his family know that he had been taken from Malaysia and sent to Turkey. It was the foreign minister of Turkey who said, "Hooray! We, Malaysia, has sent back to us 3 men that we've been wanting." Now, of course, these men are claimed to be terrorists. They claim that these men are terrorists. And they even claim, in fact, our authorities claim that one of these men is linked to ISIS. How that can be is beyond comprehension. Because there was a story then about this in the Guardian newspaper. And they said if you look at the things that he's promoting on his Facebook page, it's impossible that he's an ISIS member. So abductions are something that happen a lot in Malaysia. I was reading Martin Luther King Jr., you know, the civil rights activist in the US. And he said, an injustice anywhere is an injustice somewhere. An injustice anywhere is an injustice somewhere. And what's happening to us, Malaysians, ordinary citizens, is we're waking up to the reality of what is going on in our nation. If you do something that the authorities disapprove of, it appears that the authorities no longer do what used to happen when I was growing up. It appears that they no longer think that the right thing to do is to investigate you and prosecute you in an open court. It seems they now think that the right thing to do is to abduct you and lock you up and throw away the key, or maybe even do worse things than that. And we know what happened to Alton. So, when people ask me, why am I involved in something like this? Somebody said to me, Rama, when did you fall into such bad company? Now you even get called to the police station to answer questions. I said we have to stand up as citizens. I said, do you know how many pastors there are in Malaysia? Do you know how many social workers there are in Malaysia? If it can happen to Amri, if it can happen to Raymond Koh, if it can happen to Joshua and Ruth, tell me, it can happen to your pastor. It can happen to your imam. It can happen, and it has happened. If we don't stand up and say, this must stop, if we don't pester our elected representatives, if we don't pester the police force, if we don't demand justice, what will happen is that they'll say, oh well, you know, the best thing to do is to emigrate because this country is just going to the dogs. And that is not something that I want to do. I am very proud to be a citizen of Malaysia. I'm very proud to have had relatives who have been in the police force, and I'm very proud of some of the men and women in blue. And I want to see justice done in Malaysia. And so what I expect is an end to these abductions. What I expect is a declaration by members of our cabinet, our Prime Minister, that we will no longer abduct people. This has to stop. We have to stop this. Because people are being abducted. Do you even remember that case in Bangi where a doctor ran away from balaclava-clad men carrying guns? Because actually they were members of the police. They were a special action squad from the police. But you know, we've got to the point where we're just so afraid of the uniformed forces. Many years ago, I remember listening to Bishop Desmond Tutu. Anyone heard of Bishop Desmond Tutu? He's a bishop in South Africa. Bishop Desmond Tutu said, when he landed in London for the first time, because he was in South Africa, for the first time he landed in London, he went over to a policeman to ask for directions to go back to his apartment. He said he didn't need to ask for directions because he knew exactly how to go back to his apartment. But he said we went up to a policeman to ask for directions. He said it was so refreshing for him to go and speak to a policeman knowing that the policeman would help him, not scold him or arrest him or beat him as would happen in South Africa. I have never forgotten that story. I have met many policemen who have been nothing but kind towards me, and that's the image of the police that I want to have. But there are rogue elements in our police forces, and some of them at the very highest levels. Otherwise, we won't have this type of activity going on. And we have to stand up and we have to say, we want to have policemen that we can respect, and we want to have opportunities given to our police to do a great job. I ask you to not forget these 3 men and 1 woman. We have to keep them alive in our memories, just as we keep alive the memory of Teo Beng Hok, just as we keep alive the memories of all these others who have died unnecessarily. And we don't want these people's lives to be gone. We want them to be returned to us. We believe that is possible, and we believe that the police are capable of bringing them back. And we believe that they should take action against some of these rogue elements that may be operating in our uniformed services, whether they're in the army, whether they're in the military, or whether they're in the police, it doesn't matter. But action needs to be taken against them. So thank you for coming here tonight, and I will now hand this over to Thomas.